Hi everyone. From this lecture onwards, we are going to start with the SQL 101. So upcoming two lectures is going to be very crucial if you want to learn SQL injection. So now first understand what is SQL injection. So SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and it is a standard language used for retrieving and manipulating data in a relational database management system, which is also called as RDBMS. So data is accessed through the use of queries, which allows information to be created, read, updated and deleted. It's upon you. And database can be used in variety of situations, but one of the most common configuration is a database serving as a backend to the web application. So when certain actions are performed, such as logging in or searching, queries are sent from web application to the database. So this is the basic procedure of it. And now let's talk about injection. What is injection? So injection is allowed to occur when input fields are not properly sanitized, and an attacker can enter malicious SQL commands in order to access data that should otherwise be out of sight. So SQL injection is generally considered to be a high impact because it allows attackers to retrieve sensitive information, tamper with the data, and destroy data, or even escalate privileges and issue operating system commands on the server. So generally, any kind of input on a web page is potentially vulnerable to SQL injection because that is where it interacts with the database. So authentication form, where the user logs in with the username and the password, are the most common types of input that are exploited, such as we can talk about like search forms, contact forms and file uploads are all potential target for injection. So now guys, in this lecture we will explore the basics of SQL in order to better understand the types of attacks that you can perform. So first of all, let's talk about the anatomy of a database. So data contains in a relational based database is stored in objects called tables. So these tables are the virtual representation of relations between different elements, which consist of rows and columns, as you can see here. So okay guys, let me change the color of it. So now guys, these are the columns and these are the rows. Okay, so we are having 1 2 3 4 columns in this table, and actually 4 rows, actually 3 rows actually. Okay, because we will not consider it as row. Okay, so as we all know that this is how it looks like. Okay guys, so fields, which are columns of the table, represents specific fields of information for every record. So this is better illustrated in this particular table, as you can see here. So ID, we are having ID, name, username, password and all the details. So this table contains 3 records and 4 fields. Each user in the database is given an ID, name, username and the password. In reality, tables are much larger than this and can contain millions of records, and the database itself can hold just a many as table. So you can see how valuable SQL injection is to an attacker with this much data ripe for picking. So now guys, let's talk about the data type and operators and what is the syntax of it. So in order to understand the data that we are working with, we need to know that there are different types of data utilized in SQL. Although exact data type are we can say very different between the database system. In most of the cases, they are similar enough to tell what they are. Usually they are categorized by the text, number and date. So operators allows us to manipulate and interact with the data in the SQL. So there are 5 main categories of operators, like arithmetic, bitwise, comparison, compound and logical. So most of these are similar to other programming languages, but few are simply different. Okay guys, so now let's actually see what is syntax and statements. So okay guys, so if we talk about the syntax and statement, so SQL statements are the code that is passed to the database in order to retrieve or modify data. So now let's look at the example, as you can see here. So this is the example here. Okay, so now look at this example and let's understand this query. So first we are having select star from user where name is equal to John Smith. So first part of this statement is select. Okay, let me change the color because this is not visible to the eyes. Okay, so first of all we need to take this first statement, which is select start from. So this simply means that select all the fields from the user table. Okay, select all the fields from the user table. Now here we are having where. So where clause specifies that we only want to see information from the record where John Smith is equal to name. Okay guys, so this is how this statement works. So SQL uses single quotes for a string, although most database systems will permit double quotes, and the semicolon marks at the end of the statement. So this is the basic syntax. So it should be noted that keywords like select and where are case insensitive. That means they are not case sensitive. Okay guys, so now let's understand what is comments in SQL. Okay guys, so as you can see here, we are having, as we all know, every programming language contains how to comment. Okay, in every programming language there is the section of comment which programmer use for inside their programming language. Okay, but in case of SQL we are having this is single line comment. Okay, so now let's understand it. So select from users, which will select everything from user and it will display. Okay, so this is multi-line comment. If you want to do single line comment, you will be using double hyphen. And if you want to do multi-line comments, you will use this symbol and this, and you can just close it by this. Okay, so SQL injection exploits the way comments are handled by the rendering certain parts of the query unnecessary. So now guys, let's see this one. So this will return all the records from the database since an empty string, as you can see here. So what this or means here? Okay guys, so what it will do, let's understand it first. So select from user, so it will select user table, and then where username is this or 1 is equal to 1 and password. So what it will do, so guys, in this case, let's understand. This will simply return all the records from the database since an empty string or 1 is equal to 1, which as you can see here, this is the empty string, and 1 is equal to 1 always alerts as true, and the double dashes, as you can see here, comment out the password field. So that is why comments in SQL is very important. Okay, so now guys, let's see some more we can say keywords. So there are also keywords that exist to make arranging data easier, such as min, max, between, and order by. Okay guys, so now as you can see, we are having this login session table. So name of this table is login session. Okay, where's my cursor? Okay, so login session is the name of this table. Okay guys, so suppose we wanted to know who was logged in the longest and when. So the query will simply, as you can see here below, would return the ID, username, and the shortest and the longest session with the between two datas. So now let's understand it. So what it will do, it will select ID, it will select this, username, it will select this, and minimum session length, it will select from this, maximum session length from login session, maximum session length from the login session, where login dates between 2001 to 1 and 2005 1. Okay, so what it will do, it will select each and everything in between these parameters and it will give you the result. Okay, so this is how it works. So group by we can say here we are having group by. So now what is group by? So group by consolidates the rows by ID and order by max length, and it shows in decreasing order to the user. Okay, so other useful statements includes insert into, which inserts a new record into a table, updates, which updates existing record in a table, and deletes, which is used to delete record in the table. So these types of queries can be useful for SQL injection when you want to do more than just retrieve information from the database. Okay guys, so an attacker could insert a new record indicating that they had bought something from online store, for example, and claims that they never received the product and can be compensated for it. So if they really wanted to cause maximum damage, the drop statement could be used here. So drop table will remove an existing table in the database, while drop statement will remove the entire database itself. So now let's guys understand what is join and union. So joins are used to combine rows from different tables. So when there is a field related between them, so here is, as you can see, we are having user table. Okay, so here we are having user table. Let me first name them. This is user, and what this table name, let's consider this login. So you're having two tables. So now these are the queries that we have here. Select user, select users, it will select this table. Dot username, it will select username. Logins dot date, this will select login. Dot date will select this from users, and inner join login on user ID and login ID. So it will simply inner join. So an inner join or simply join, like as you can see here, will simply return records that have matching data in both the tables. So a left join returns all records from the left table as well as record that matches in the right table. So if we say like right join returns all records from the right table as well as matched record in the left table. So a full join will return all records that match in either the left or the right table. Although joins are not required for SQL injection, they can be proved very useful when extracting information across table after you have found your way in. So now guys, let's talk about union. So what is union? So in the last lecture we have talked about join, but in this case we are going to talk about union. So union is used to combine distinct data from two or more select statements. Each select statement must have the same data type and the same number of columns, and they must be in the same order. So this thing should be noted down, that they must be in the same order. So union all does the same thing, but it won't eliminate duplicate rows in case where the same data exists in both of the union tables. So now let's look at the example that we are having two tables, that is user here, and this is user, and this one, let's take it as admin. Okay, so we're having two tables. So as you can see, this is the query that we have here. So it will simply join password from user, this password, union, password from admins will simply join this. Okay, so obviously this won't be normal query that is run against the database, but if we were allowed to inject this, we could obtain the admin password or any other information that isn't usually accessible. So guys, this is all about SQL injection basics, because these are the things that you should know. So if you don't understand anything, you can ask me. I will answer your question within 24 hours. And if you have any doubt, you can simply rewatch the video, and it will be very easy to understand, because SQL is not a very tough thing. This is like English language. So guys, I hope you guys understand. In the next lecture, we are going to cover whole SQL injection, because what is the approach for SQL injection. So I will teach you in the next lecture how to approach SQL injection, how to exploit SQL injection, and what are the commands that will be useful, and how you can use comments, union and all. So these two lectures are going to be very crucial if you want to learn SQL injection. So thank you guys. I hope you guys understand it, and thank you for watching this lecture.